Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Vampire Blood Cranberry Martini. And as always, is the featured cocktail in today's episode. I'm going to start with our shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add cranberry juice. I'm using diet cranberry. Next, 2 ounces gin or vodka. I'm using vodka. This makes 2 cocktails, by the way. Next, 1 ounce orange triple sec. I'm using Cointreau. One ounce. One half a shot Aperol. Finally, one ounce lime juice from the plastic lime. Then we shake. And we're going to pour into our glass. And enjoy. It's not bad. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
Sometimes things are not always what they seem to be, like this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Mark of the Vampire. I mean, come on. If you see Bela Lugosi starring in a film titled Mark of the Vampire, you're thinking you're going to see some elegant Dracula antics, right? To be fair, you kind of do. But as I said, all is not what it seems to be. Including this week's drink, the Vampire Blood Cranberry Martini. I think it's just a cranberry martini with some vampire mystique added to the title. Duped twice this week. I need to be more alert. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the 2 very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, you had a beautiful day today. Did you do some outside thirsty
Did
work?
not. No thirsty work was done today, Karen.
So you didn't pregame?
Not as
Or
much
you
as
didn't say
usual.
that? Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, I mean, laundry's thirsty work too,
It
just
is. I agree.
especially with the heat coming
That's
out the
probably
dryer. Shoo!
that's more thirsty work because it's not as fun. Thirsty work helps you get through the day when you have to do that stuff.
Karen, I believe this film was your choice, was it? Was it not?
It was.
Tell us, Karen, what film have you chosen for us this week?
I chose the 1935 film Mark of the Vampire.
Any reason you chose that film, Karen?
I believe it came out on April 26th in 1935, and our podcast comes out the Wednesday before that Saturday, which is what, counting backwards, the 23rd.
Yes, Karen, you are correct. At least that's what my research tells me as well. Do we have a cocktail for this movie, Karen?
We do. It's called the Vampire Blood Cranberry Martini. I think they just put vampire blood in front of that, but I'm not judging.
It's possible, I guess. It's possible.
Like zombie flesh gin and tonic. Like we could start naming our own drinks like that.
I think I might start using AI to create drinks and see what happens.
Okay.
See what happens. I don't know. How
Well,
would
don't,
one make the
first of all, don't let
vampire?
that slip out.
uh,
Pretend you're a genius. I just came up with this. Come on, Greg.
how do we make the vampire blood cranberry martini, Karen?
You're going to need a half a cup of ice, 4 ounces of cranberry juice, 2 ounces of gin or vodka. Double this for a stronger drink. 1 ounce of orange triple sec, half an ounce of Aperol, and 1 shot of lime juice, about the juice of 1 lime. Juice the lime and set it aside. In a martini shaker, add about half a cup of ice. Pour cranberry juice, orange triple sec, gin, Aperol, and pour lime juice over the ice. Close and shake cocktail shaker vigorously for approximately 30 seconds and until the outside of the shaker has frosted. Pour into martini glasses or glasses of your choice because this recipe makes two.
Thank you, Karen.
So tell me, did you use gin or vodka?
I used vodka.
Did you double it for a stronger drink?
I did not.
Because you just went with the original recipe
Yes.
for the two and you're drinking the two.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm drinking one right now. We'll see what happens.
Oh, you still have the second half?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you would pour it all in one glass and just go for it.
I would buy it was a vampire blood cocktail if it was more blood reddish.
Well, I think my cranberry juice is sugar-free and
So is
light, so
mine.
it's probably not as deep colored as the others, but I don't know. Hey, it's out there. It's on the Realist Food blog.
There you
So,
go. Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own vampire blood cranberry martini? It just rolls off the tongue,
I
Karen.
know. It's not fake at all. Absolutely.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film for us from 1935?
I do.
Go on. Tell us all a story.
Sir Boratin, a prominent Prague resident, is discovered murdered in his home, with all indications pointing to a vampire assault. The victim's friend, Baron Otto, and the physician who analyzes the body are certain that the vampire is the mysterious Count Mora, or perhaps his daughter, but receive little help from the law. Professor Zelen, an expert in the occult, is called in to assist with the investigation.
Thank you, Karen. We are a match. All right, Karen. Tell us everything you really enjoyed or liked in this film starring Lionel Barrymore and Bela Lugosi.
The sets are nice. The clothes are nice. There's some really good shadow work throughout it. There's sequel potential, I guess, when you really think about it. Other than that, I don't really have a lot, do you? It's very short. It's like 59 minutes, so there's not a lot there, to be honest.
I thought the acting was good. I thought the sets were good. And it's short. And it's a small cast.
True. We do like a small cast.
Yeah, you get your Bela Lugosi eye acting in there. You even get some female vampire eye acting.
Yes. She was pretty. Nice to look at.
I don't know. She was, I think the makeup, I don't know. I don't know if she was or not. So
Well, when she says her one line at the end, she seems
she
sweet,
she
you
did.
know?
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a couple of shots of her outside a window that I thought were really good.
Lots of nice
Well done.
froggies, fog.
Yeah, it has all the things.
Got your cemeteries and your froggies, fog, and your bats flying while flapping their wings slowly.
But there was a cool thing too of her in bat wings. I thought that was
That
kind of
was good.
neat.
That was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So, I mean, it's 1935. So are we going to complain? So when she has her bat moment, I thought that was pretty good for 1935.
Yeah, it's okay. Lots of good actors in it. And it's directed by Todd Browning. He's,
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's a pretty typical 1935 vampire film.
I wouldn't say it's typical.
Well, it has all the elements, like you said. Has the castle, has the peasants, has the Froggy's Fog, the cemetery, the eyeball acting. In that way is what I'm talking about. The cape, all the things.
Anything you didn't like?
Well, obviously, when I picked it, I didn't know the story
Okay.
because, in essence, it's not really a vampire film.
Nope.
It's a mystery. It's a murder mystery dinner party kind of thing,
Yeah.
almost, where everybody's playing a part and you're trying to figure it out. But you don't know that until the very end when they just kind of spring it on you. So it's a little choppy. There's some like, why does the vampire have a wound on his head? No one ever says. They notice it, but they don't say anything about it.
Apparently, Karen, from what I have read in the script, and I don't know if they filmed this and it was cut or whatever, they just dropped it from the script. There was some backstory where he killed himself by shooting himself in the head.
Oh, okay. And then came back
Yeah.
as a vampire. I mean, it's a little choppy. It's a little slow because you don't know what's happening. You get all the vampire lore. They talk about when they're active, when they aren't. So it's not terrible, but the ending was a little, I don't know. Like when they make I mean, we don't mean to spoil it for you, but it's from 1935. So it's not really a vampire. They're play acting to catch a murderer. And it's almost like a TV show where there's all this action and somebody wakes up from a dream or something, where it just kind of clunks in the last 10 minutes of what's happening. I kind of like the story a little bit, like there was motive for the murder and all of those things. So some pieces started to fit together, and you're like, oh, okay. Because I kind of did get the creepy feeling from him when, there's a young woman, her father is murdered, and the guardian, well, of course she's going to come live with me. She looks like she's in her 20s. I think she could live alone, but so I thought that's weird. Like they did a few little things to let you know that I think he kind of liked her because I didn't read anything about it. I didn't know that twist was coming. And so I was unprepared and not really impressed by it. So I don't know. But it's not horror like you're going to tell me in 2 seconds.
Actually, I know I wasn't going to say that.
Oh, okay. Well, what did you not like?
Uh, the story I thought was just okay. It wasn't fantastic or wasn't great, And I think they did the twist at the end a little too early. But I don't know. That's me.
Well, it just pops out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's hypnotizing this guy. I'm like, what is happening? And it was kind of risky that, they're saying you have to cut off their heads. And what if he just did that to one of them?
Yeah, he
Like
almost did.
there's some things where you're like, whoa, what's happening? Like, and that the hypnotizing comes out of nowhere, and I didn't understand. And then you do put it together, and the poor fiance doesn't know anything. And
So the fiance doesn't know anything about it, right? Federer,
oh, I thought it
whatever.
was Fredo, like the in
Federer, Fedor, Federer.
oh,
But
but
he's one of the victims. He is
I know.
attacked and has like marks on his neck.
I understand that. So I didn't know what was
But
happening.
he had three little dots, which I thought was weird on his neck.
Yeah,
Like the vampire had a buck tooth or something.
I don't know. And then there was another guy that was a vampire, and I don't know who that was either. There
I
were three
think
of them.
I think he was supposed to be the townsperson they were talking about
Oh,
at
the
like the
farmer guy.
inquest and all that
Okay.
stuff, because you know, I don't know that any of them knew this person. They just heard,
Oh,
people talk, you hear things.
right. But I kept going, who is that guy? So it's a little confusing at
I mean,
times.
otherwise the whole town would have to be in on it.
Right. It's a little, like I said, it's like a murder mystery party you have at your house or something. And they just happen to make it horror themed.
Yeah, I read where this has been described as a remake of Todd Browning's famous lost silent film, London After Midnight.
Is that a comedy?
It is not.
Oh, it almost had a comedic effect a little bit, but I don't think it was supposed to.
Yeah,
Well,
London
there's
After
lots of breaks. They put a lot of those types of things in the older movies. Well, they do it now too. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, London After Midnight, starring Lon Chaney, a very famous lost film, Karen. I did know the story, so apparently there were actors involved in that too in the end, and the police was using this actor as a vampire to flush out a killer. So in
Hmm.
that way, it is very similar. But anything else you didn't like? Anything
No,
in
I mean
general?
it's okay. I wish I would have known more going in. I think I would have appreciated it a little bit more because I would have been aware and kind of looking for details that I'm sure they were dropping.
I don't think they did,
No?
because I knew, and I kept thinking, okay, they're just going to spring this on us, and we're just supposed to believe that, that everyone was in on it. And I mean, is the professor even the professor? I don't know. Is he?
I don't know. And I did like the last scene. I thought it really humanized the that they were actors because they did behave totally different packing up their shit, versus when they were the vampires.
Yeah, Bela had a line, even a little humorous line at the end.
Yeah, I think I I did like that scene.
Of course, playing probably off the success of Dracula as well, right?
I'm sure.
It's interesting that this is a Metro Goldwyn Mayer film to me.
Why is that?
Well, I'm kind of surprised they let Bela do it.
Oh,
Universal let him do it. You know what I mean?
yeah. It seems a little lowbrow for Lionel Barrymore, but maybe he was at the end of his career.
Well, he wasn't quite ready to play Mr. Potter yet in It's a Wonderful Life.
True.
Have you ever seen that movie yet, Karen? Have you
I
seen it
have
yet?
not. Still have not.
Okay. Yeah, so Dracula, it's like 1930, right? 1931. So yeah, they started making it in 30. So I'm sure he was well known as Dracula by 1935.
There's one scene where he comes in the door. It doesn't look like him, I didn't think.
I thought it looked like him.
I wonder if this point, I don't know when, I know he fell into addiction, so I don't know when that was, but he didn't have much to do in this film except have his presence there. And he doesn't play Dracula, he plays a count who is supposed to be a vampire. Maybe that's one reason they let him do it. It wasn't a Dracula film.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing Universal films. He did The Black Cat in 1934, The Raven in 1935, The Invisible Ray in 1936.
But I mean, he didn't play Dracula, but he dressed as Dracula.
He
I
did.
mean,
It's almost like he took
yeah, he
the
just,
costume from Universal
oh, I
and
have it in my closet. I'll bring it over. Like that's what it looked like. But I'm just saying maybe they let him because it's not an actual Dracula film. I don't know. I was not around in 1935.
And I guess Dracula was a Todd Browning film too. So interesting.
Maybe he lobbied for him.
I don't know. I just always hear about, like the golden age of Hollywood and how everyone was tied to
They did loan him out. I
production
think
company
they had to pay
contracts
for them
and
and things, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, I think you're right.
So that Universal made money by letting him do it.
Maybe. I don't know if he was under contract or what, but all right. Anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I was trying to come up with things to say, and it's just like it has all the lore, kind of, but turns out to not be what I thought.
I think some of the lore is different. I mean, they all have, I guess it's sort of
Well, there's one thing
similar,
I
but
know that's different, but we do have like the Van Helsing character who is the professor who is telling us all the things, and so it's okay. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it's exceptional, but there's nothing wrong with it.
no, like I said, the acting was all good. Lionel Atwell's in it.
I mean, what else do you need?
Fay Ray. He's
True.
Fay Ray.
Yeah, but she kind of looked a little like Fay Ray, so the Fay Ray adjacent actress.
All right, what kind of cocktail rating you want to give this film, Karen?
I was going to give it a 4, but it could be a 3.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 4. It's a 3. Would you like to hear a review from the time, Karen?
Sure, what do you got?
First, I have to tell you, this has an 87% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes,
Wow.
a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. What do you think Google users say, Karen?
See, normally I'd go in between, but those are both pretty high numbers. So I'm going to say 90%.
92, Karen.
Oh, come on.
92.
I knew that
So
Google was going to
close.
go.
Review I have is from the New York Times, dated
Wow.
May 3rd, 1935. And it's 4 paragraphs. I'll read the whole thing. Horror being a precious commodity in the cinema and a potent lure to the box office, it is not altogether surprising this week to discover that 2 Broadway houses, the Mayfair and the Rialto, have avidly laid claims to the same picture. Its name is Mark of the Vampire, and it manages, through use of every device seen in Dracula and one or two besides, to lay a sound foundation for childish nightmares. Even the adults in the audience may feel a bit skittery at the sight of 2 or 3 vampires, a bevy of bats, a herd of spiders, a drove of rodents, and a cluster or 2 of cobwebs, not forgetting the swarm of fog.
See, that's what I mean. It has all the things. There's even a possum in there.
I know, I didn't see any rodents, but I saw a
Oh,
possum.
there were some rats, and there were some good use of bugs, and there was an owl. I mean, it had all the things.
The undead, which is the professional name for the zombies of the piece, have chosen the tiny village of Visaka in Czechoslovakia. I don't know that. I kept hearing Prague or whatever.
Frog, yeah.
Yeah, for their depredations this time. There is a ruined castle whose sole tenants are believed to be the vampires. Count Mora, Bela Lugosi in private life, and his red-lipped daughter Luna, played by Carol Borland. One night, Sir Carol Boriton is found dead, the telltale marks on his throat, his body drained of its blood. Vampires, wail the villagers. Murder, insist Inspector Newman. Lionel Barrymore drops in to become Professor Zelen, savant and delver into the occult. He scatters Batthorn, also known as Wolf's Claw, Karen, apparently,
Mm.
about the place to keep the vampires away. But soon it is apparent that Sir Carol's daughter and her fiancé are being unwilling blood donors to the earthbound spirits. To go further into the story would be unfair to Todd Browning, director of the piece, and its authors, Guy Endor and Bernard Schubert. Let it be enough merely to add that for all its inconsistencies, Mark of the Vampire should catch the beholder's attention and hold it through chills and thrills, right up to the moment when the mystery of the vampires of Visaka is solved. Like most good ghost stories, it's a lot of fun, even though you don't believe a word of it.
I mean, it's interesting. I guess they're in that area, but if you killed someone, it's like, let's make it look like, I don't know, vampires. But they were playing off the superstitions, so there you go.
All right, Karen, are you ready to get into it scene by scene?
No,
No.
not until you tell us what movie you've picked for next week,
Oh,
Greg.
yes, that's right. Film I have chosen, Karen, is from 1959. Stars Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
Is it a Hammer film?
It is a Hammer film, Karen.
Woohoo, it's a Hammer film. What is it?
It is called The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Ah, okay. That's a Sherlock Holmes thing.
It is.
Sherlock Holmes thing,
It
right?
is. It is a Sherlock Holmes thing, but it's considered a Hammer horror movie.
Okay.
So that's why I'm doing it.
I don't know the story, I just know the title. Another one to check off the list.
Yep.
I can't wait to hear what this drink is.
Are you being? I don't like your tone, Karen.
No, I meant like, is it going to be like a hound dog drink or like a, I meant that nicely,
All
actually.
right. All right. The cocktail I have chosen, Karen, is called the Sherlock Holmes cocktail.
Oh, there you go. Okay. That makes sense.
We're going to need 1.5 ounces of Scotch whiskey. And you really want single malt Scotch here, preferably something quite peaty like Lamfrogue. I don't know.
Oh, of course.
1 ounce chilled brewed Lapsang Doshang tea, if you've got it. And you will, Karen, because I have it and I already have it in an envelope. I'm going to send it to you.
You just had that laying around?
Yes, I did, actually. Actually, it was
Okay.
at work. It's been in my drawer for a
It's
long
not one of
time.
the teas that I sent you a long time ago, is it?
No, it is not.
Okay.
But it does say otherwise just use an ordinary tea. But
Okay.
not green tea. Not that green tea, Karen.
Not that healthy shit. Okay.
No. 1 ounce of honey syrup, which is this equal parts honey and water.
Okay.
And 3/4 fresh lemon juice from the plastic lemon. We're going to add all ingredients to your trusty shaker. Add ice and shake until frosty cold. Strain into pre-chilled cocktail glass. Drink and then solve unsolvable crime.
I like that.
There you go. This is from the website drunkardsalmanac.com.
Ooh, that sounds like a
That's
good
one to
one.
bookmark for
Yeah.
you boys and girls. The Drunkard's Almanac. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm surprised we haven't been on that one before.
We
Seems right up
haven't.
our alley.
Yeah. And I feel like I have seen at least a good part of this film. So we'll see at some point over the years. My many years on this earth, Karen.
Who plays Sherlock Holmes in it?
Peter Cushing,
Okay, just curious.
as he does, as he would, who else would play it?
Christopher Lee could play it.
No, he's some count or something. As he is, or a sir, or whatever. I don't know. He's a sir. All right, are you ready to get into it?
Let's go.
For a movie that is 60 minutes long, I have 5 pages of notes.
Wow.
There you go. Mark of the Vampire from 1935, rated 13 plus. That's all I saw, Karen. 13 plus. No other warnings. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did not.
Where did you watch it?
I gotta look it up and see. Daily Motion, I think.
Oh, okay.
That's where I watched it.
I looked for it on archive.org.
I thought it would
didn't
be
have
there.
it. It wasn't
Yeah,
there.
I really thought it would be there. I looked too, obviously.
Film starts, we have credits. Then I wrote, we have Gypsy singing outside a church.
I did note that Lionel Barrymore got top billing
Yeah.
and Bella didn't. Well, I didn't know the story, so I was like, oh, that's surprising. Yeah, they're burning things and adding herbs to horses.
Yeah, and then we're in a cemetery and we see an old woman collecting herbs, question mark, I
Yeah,
wrote. Is that what she's doing? And
yeah.
I guess it's a bat flies by, flapping its wings very slowly. But you
And she
can't
gets
quite
stuck
see
on
the rings.
she you can't quite. She gets stuck on something as she tries to run
Looks like a
away.
fork.
I know. Was it supposed to be a hand?
I don't think so.
But why would a big fork be in the cemetery? I said, is that a
Maybe it's
fork?
one of those garden
Maybe.
fork things,
I guess. Okay.
3-prong thing where you use for garden shit. I have one, Karen, in my garage. And then we see an innkeeper, I guess, or a publican maybe,
Yes,
telling
possibly.
telling a couple that they should stay the night, that they don't want to be going out in the dark. And they're hanging batthorn on the doors to protect themselves, Karen.
Okay. So, Batthorn.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, batthorn.
Batthorn can refer to two different things: a fictional plant with vampire repelling properties and a horror punk band. So, in the film Mark of the Vampire, Batthorn is a fictional, coarse, cemetery growing weed that repels vampires. It's similar to wolfsbane in its protective properties. But this is the best part. The horror punk band, Batthorn, is from Ohio, known for their high energy live shows and working class snotty punk energy. They have that's what how they describe themselves on their Facebook page if anyone wants to go look. They have released music and are featured on compilations like Shock Waves Volume 2 by Horror Shock Records. Batthorn, punk band. Go
Cool.
like them on Facebook. I wonder if they're still on there. I did not check.
It is a good band name, actually, Batthorn. I like it. Hello, boys and girls. You know, doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show. Then Doctor arrives. We
In a
saw him
carriage going
riding in a
like,
carriage very quickly.
yes.
And apparently he lives there because he has his name's on the door to one of the rooms. And then the pub workers all talk about vampires.
Well, they do make fun of him because he's a doctor and he's not afraid of their superstitious stuff, but he's going so fast because it's getting to be dark. So he's a believer, we learn. But yeah, they start talking about vamp. But I don't know who this couple is in the inn or the
Just
pub.
travelers.
Yeah. And they make fun of superstitions and then the old lady comes over and reprimands them.
Yeah, she asks them not to mock the vampires so that they will not take the revenge out on them all. Then we see the doctor hanging Batthorn in his window in his room.
So even though he's part of this whole thing, he is a believer.
Something else I didn't really care for in this film, there's almost too much comedy relief.
Yeah.
So then we see a man who I guess is the Baron. We learn later is the Baron Otto or whatever.
Hmm.
He's telling the staff that Sir Carol was murdered the previous evening, and an inspector is coming to question them all,
And there's about 8 people in that kitchen.
if not more.
And there, I think, 2 people living in the house. And the best part was he's like, okay, the inspector's going to come and talk to you. Just so you know, get back to work. Like their master is dead or their employer is dead. What are they supposed to be doing?
Well, I guess Irina is their employer now.
Well, yes, but she doesn't need 8 people cooking her dinner, I wouldn't think. It was pretty funny. But they just go back to their work.
So then we see the doctor telling the inspector that the bite marks on Sir Carol's neck are the cause of death and that they were from a vampire. And the butler says that he saw a bat that evening. Inspector chastises the doctor for not coming to see Sir Carol the previous evening. But of course, the doctor didn't want to go out at night.
Right.
So then we see Irina's boyfriend comes in and learns that Sir Carol is dead. And then we see the inspector questioning the Baron, I guess. Irina is to inherit her father's fortune, and that's where he says, well, she will stay with me, of course. I'm her.
And the inspector's asking about the fiance because there could be motive there. If he doesn't have a lot of money, Irina's going to get a lot of money. Was that the motive?
So then we cut to a suit of armor
which everyone seemed to have back in the day, right? Had to have a suit of armor.
And the helmet moves. The face mask on the helmet moves.
Yes, I think it's the servant and the doctor. Are they examining the body?
Maybe.
I think
Yeah.
they are.
And a cat climbs out of it, Karen.
It's
And
a
I wrote,
beautiful.
is that a tabby?
It was a calico and it was beautiful.
Well, it's black and white, right?
But you could
I
tell
guess it's
by
a
the pattern.
calico. Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell by the pattern. A beautiful cat.
Doctor tells the inspector that the cause of death was the wounds on the neck, just like he thought, and he was drained dry of his blood. Then we cut to an inquest. Townsfolk telling the inspector about Count Mora and his daughter. And the coroner's there too, the inspector and the coroner. Apparently, this was not the first death by puncture marks on the neck. Coroner doesn't believe the vampire story. He says the official cause of death is cause or causes unknown. So the coroner doesn't have to like look at the body at all. He just listens to people,
I
hear what
don't
they have
know.
to say.
I don't know if that's why the Baron decided to do this because there were rumors around the village that this farmer had been bitten. I don't know. But yeah, he just says cause unknown. Next.
Then we see Irina and Fedor riding in a carriage, and she talks about the wedding, their wedding feast, and how the townsfolk would come and dance, and her father had it all planned,
I guess they're kind of,
and apparently there's been a time lapse here that I was like wasn't
yeah,
aware of until they said a year ago. Yeah. So there's no like 1 year later.
no.
And Fedor promises he will try to make Irina as happy as her father wanted her to be.
I think they're the richest people in the area because all the peasants would come and dance at the wedding, she said. Yeah, he had the whole thing planned and it made her sad. And I said, good shadow work, but I don't know what it was.
So then you see the Baron and the butler planning for the wedding reception. And there's some talk of the castle being in disrepair. And
But they don't live at the castle, right?
no, they don't.
So I guess they were just going to have the wedding there. But I guess
Well,
you could
no,
rent it out because,
no, they're not doing anything there. But that's the butler says that Sir Carol would have wanted them to use the castle or whatever. And that's when he talks about how it's in so bad disrepair and whatnot.
right.
So apparently they just let it run down. And we see Irina and the Baron having dinner. Butler enters.
So I guess they kept all the same
Oh,
servants. They just went over to the Baron's house.
yeah. The Fedor enters, not the butler. And I wrote, he don't look so good. We learn that he fell near the castle and hit his head. And we see 3 marks on his neck. The maid screams vampire and runs out.
Yep.
Then we see Count Moore and his daughter Luna walking through the castle. I wrote bugs, spiders, bats, and possums.
But the thing for me is like, okay, it's nice we see that, whatever, but why are they doing it if it's all a farce? Are they just practicing? Like nobody's looking at them,
Getting into character, Karen.
I guess. Get feeling their motivation.
And Luna walks out into the fog.
And Bella looks like a proud father as she walks off.
You see a carriage rushing through the woods. The driver wants to hurry home. They are supposed to leave before dark, but the lady was enjoying her beer, who was like a maid, we learn later
I think
too.
it is the maid from the house, right?
Yes. But she's enjoying her beer. She wasn't ready to leave yet.
I mean, can't rush a good thing.
Then Luna stares at them and a branch breaks and they rush off. I don't know. I didn't really get, but whatever. Carriage driver and the maid telling the Baron about what happened.
Yeah, and she's hysterical. She's saying what happened. They were dead people and so the story's moving along.
But he explains, no, it's just real estate people.
Yes. Let them fly their freak flag. It's fine.
Then we see Luna staring at Irina. Irina goes to the porch, then collapses into a chair, and Count Mora smiles. Apparently he's watching as well. Clock strikes midnight. We have screams. The Baron and the other people in the house find Irina sitting on the patio. Then we have the doctor and Professor Zelen questioning Irina.
Well, the daughter vampire did come over to her.
She did.
Yeah. And because she did the eyeball acting and
We don't see anything though.
no, well, she goes up to her neck.
Not here.
I said, young lady doesn't blink, and the daughter offers her neck, and Bella watches.
Okay.
So you see her kind of tilt her neck.
Yeah, she gets more later. We see her actually grabbing her by the neck and going to
Okay.
later. But
Preview.
and right here, I recognized Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. Professor tells the maid to stay with Irina. Professor believes Irina was attacked by Luna and that she is a vampire. Inspector arrives. Professor has the maid close all the windows and doors, and he wants some batthorn hung as well.
Everywhere.
Baron shows Inspector a piece of paper with Sir Carol's signature on it, even though he's been dead for over a year, question mark. This is when we learn it's been a year. And I'm not even sure what this piece of paper is.
I think it has to do with leasing the castle.
Inspector and the professor talk about vampires. Its victims become vampires as well. They must protect the house with more batthorn. Irina comes downstairs. She says she heard a voice calling her, which sounded like her father. Inspector is hesitant to believe that Sir Carol has risen from the grave, because, he's dead. They go to inspect his grave to see if the body is still there.
So, yes, so it's the inspector and the Baron, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the Baron's going to see that the body isn't there.
They arrive at the coffin and it is empty and a bat drops into it.
Yes, and that's a real bat.
It is a
I
real
think.
bat.
But there's lots of Froggy's fog around.
Then we see Count Mora and another guy watching.
Okay, so let's stop there just for talking about Bella, which we've talked about before, but just to review, I'm going to quiz you. How many times do you think he played a vampire? And this one doesn't count, because I guess because he's an actor playing a vampire, so he's not actually a vampire.
14.
This is so weird because I would have thought something like 10. In his 50-year career, Lugosi played a vampire on film 4 times, and only twice as Count Dracula. In Dracula in 1931, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein 1948. But he established himself as the quintessential vampire. He is Dracula. Well, unless you're a Christopher Lee fan.
Because he did it on stage as well.
Right. It
Even
started
before the movie.
in 1927 on the Broadway stage production of Dracula. The makeup, the style of dress, the mannerisms, along with his distinct accent, became the characterization for which he is famous. So when he was cast in Universal's film version, he brought all of that to the screen. He never wore fangs in his performances as Count Dracula. He did make 18 films at Universal Studios. Bella and Boris appeared together 8 times in eight films. They had a friendly professional relationship, but did not socialize off set. And this was interesting. Lugosi was a founding member of the Screen Actors Guild. He was number 28. I thought that was pretty cool. He does have a commemorative postage stamp in 1997. So I would have thought way more than 4, right? But sorry, go ahead.
But lots of times he's not a vampire, but he's playing the same.
Well, in Plan
Dick.
9, he's a ghoul, but he's
Yes.
basically a vampire. He's rocking the same look.
Yeah. So then Feder arrives and Irina introduces him to Professor Zelen. Professor tells them that they were both attacked by a vampire. Feder wants to take Irina away. Professor tells them not to disobey him. He is fighting for their souls, Karen.
Yes.
Irina tells Feder to leave.
She's very tired.
Then we have a shot of them placing batthorn all around the house. And Professor tells Feder that the vampire is only active at night. The Baron and the inspector arrive and tell them the coffin of Sir Carol or whatever was empty. Screams, Karen. Butler recounts what happened to the inspector. They were hanging blackthorn and there was an open window. A bat flew in and turned into Count Mora, and they ran away.
Yeah, there's open doors and windows all through the house.
Professor tells them all that the vampire is somewhere in the house. He orders all the doors to be closed and bat thorn to be placed on them. He tells the maid and butler to search the other side of the house,
Which they are not thrilled with.
and we see Count Moore watching. And then Inspector shoots at something, like a bat maybe, flying through a window or something.
I don't know, right in the house, just start shooting.
And they watch as a couple walk away. Professor says it looked like Sir Carol. The man did. Irina is afraid to go to sleep. Professor tells her the room is safe. So then we cut to Sir Carol playing the organ.
Yeah, back then we're back at the castle, and there's
Yeah.
an organ there, and he starts playing it.
Bat flies in. Inspector and the Baron arrive. Baron says Sir Carol was always sitting at the organ.
So it's like they did live in the castle. There's some confusing stuff here, but unless he has an organ at home.
They look through a window as Luna flies down.
Yeah, so they're watching now. They do see him playing the organ, and that's, I think, the best shot in the film is where she has big wings and flies down from somewhere.
The Baron says it's Sir Carol, and there is another man there as well. Baron, Professor, and Inspector debate having Irina talk to who they believe is Sir Carol, question mark. I don't know.
Yeah, she's the only one that can get through to her dad.
Inspector wants to call for backup. Professor tells them vampires cannot be harmed at night, but they are powerless during the day. Their heads must be severed by one clean stroke, and then a piece of bat thorn placed in the wound.
Yes. Count Moore is listening to them and then sneaks up the stairs.
Baron and Inspector both agree they're not going to go through with this stuff, and they are going to leave at daybreak.
Yeah, they're not going to do it at night because they can't hurt them at night, so they're going to go get some sleep.
Then we see Luna watching Irina, and then the maid leaves to get some tea, question mark, I wrote. But it's actually coffee,
yeah.
we learn later. And we see a shadow of the Count in Fetter's room, right?
Oh, I thought it was her room. Yeah, well, I don't know, because she felt the cold breath again, the horror of it. But
And then we see Irina telling the professor and the others about seeing Luna after the maid left the room.
yeah, so I don't know.
The cold breath made her feel faint. Professor checks her neck. He tells the Baron and Inspector to go check on Fetter, and he puts a cross on Irina. They check on Fetter. He says he was in a deep sleep, and again, Professor checks his neck. Professor believes the maid screaming scared the Count away. Daybreak. Professor checking the organ. I wrote, it doesn't appear to have been played.
No, all the dust is still there.
And they see the bat. Inspector shoots at it.
The inspector likes to shoot the gun.
Professor tells them it can only be destroyed in its corpse-like state. The vampire can only be destroyed. They light candles to search the castle. We have spiders and possums.
And lots of cobwebs, yes.
And then they find the body of Sir Carol, question mark.
Or the other guy. I'm not sure who it was.
Well, Baron goes to behead whoever it is, and the Inspector and Professor stop him. Professor says they must all be destroyed at the same time.
Yes, because he comes, I've thought, oh, what's he going to, why aren't they going to kill this guy? And he's like, well, we don't want to risk being attacked by the others. We need to kill them all at once, even though they leave him there.
Yeah, but they mark the door so they can come back to it later.
Yes.
Their candles go out. They try to light them, and they have to hurry because the sun is going down. This was a quick day, Karen. So then we see Irina and Fetter. Irina wants him to leave. He refuses. Shot of Luna walking through the fog. Back in the castle, I guess, Professor and Inspector get separated. Then we cut back to the other house, I guess, and Luna stares at Irina, and she is suddenly very happy.
Yeah.
Maid runs in to close the outside doors. Fetter questions Irina. She is not acting like herself, and she asks for his forgiveness. And she runs out of the room and locks the door. She's being a little moody, Karen.
Yeah, a little bit.
Professor and Baron looking for the inspector. Again, back at the castle. Irina and Luna go to see Count Mora and her father. Her father tells her to be brave. He tells her to go with Luna. Professor tries to get Count to go see Sir Carol. He refuses.
Wait, the professor tries to get the Count to go see Sir Carol where? Where are
Or
we?
maybe the Baron. Maybe he tries to get the Baron to go talk to Sir Carol, see if he can talk to him. So then we see Lunas going to bite Irina, it looks like, right? The Baron and the other guy, I guess, arrive and bust through the window.
Wait, I don't know. I can't find where you are. I'm sorry.
Irina tells him to leave. Count Mora enters and grabs Feder. Then the professor hypnotizes the Baron.
All right, we'll just start there.
Yeah, do you remember when Luna or Irina was sitting in that chair and after her father told her to go and be brave and Luna goes to bite her on the neck and then the guys arrive and bust through the window and Luna runs away? Okay,
No, I don't think I saw that.
okay. So then Irina joins her father at the organ and Irina says she can't go on. It's not her father. It's part of a plan to trap the Baron. Inspector believes he is the killer.
So they're at the organ in their house, not in the castle now, right?
I guess.
Okay.
I wasn't sure because I'm like, there's no dust there. Is this the same place or not? So then Professor is taking the Baron back to 1 year ago while he is under a trance, and he tells him he is going to see Sir Carol. Professor tells Irina to get ready. The Baron will be there any minute. They are trying to get him to reenact his crime if he is guilty.
I'm not
But
sure if you're hypnotized that would count in court.
Professor tells the butler to do everything he did 1 year ago when the Baron enters.
Yes, and they're being very specific about it.
Baron arrives and he and the man playing Sir Carol have a smoke. And then they're making a drink and he's like, once he says, put 2 drops of these in every glass.
Yeah, because the doctor says he has a sluggish heart, so it's some sort of heart medication
Oh, okay.
that he drinks with his wine.
Right. I didn't really get that part.
Yeah.
Because I wrote, are they having absinthe? And I'm like, no, it's a dark liquid with the cinnamon stick in it. It looked like to me.
Oh, well,
But whatever.
I think it's heart medication. They mentioned he had a heart issue.
So then the Baron is upset that Sir Carol agreed to Irina's wedding. Sir Carol says the wedding will be in a fortnight.
Yes, which is 2 weeks, but it's an old English term meaning 14 nights or days, but the Anglo-Saxons counted by nights. I did read it went out of style in America around the 1920s. It faded out.
Otto, the Baron, wants Irina's ruby necklace. He says he can make a bracelet for her for the wedding.
And earrings.
Yes.
And the fake dad is like, oh, you've spoiled her since she was born, which lets you know he's much older than she is, which you can see in this, but he wants the girl.
Then we see the Baron putting some more liquid in Sir Carol's drink as he's getting the ruby necklace.
Like a lot more.
Professor tells Sir Carol to drink the wine and then collapse, and they will see what happens after the Baron leaves.
Yeah, so they're staging it because they're thinking that the Baron's going to come around and watch and make sure he drinks it. And then at that point, he's going to continue with his crime.
Sir Carol drinks the wine. Otto watches from the window. Sir Carol does a good job of acting as he collapses, I wrote.
Although he's still breathing.
Baron enters and tries to wake him. Professor hides outside the room. The Baron rips open Sir Carol's collar. Then he heats a glass, Karen. I'm like, what is he doing?
Okay, well, what it's called, it's cupping. So and it's interesting
That's what they called it, yes.
Yeah, when I looked it up, there's two types of thinking here because one says cupping therapy is a therapeutic technique that utilizes a vacuum force created beneath a small vessel applied onto the skin's surface. This approach focuses on blood and healing substances in a specific area, stimulating metabolic activity, improving immune function, and stabilizing blood biochemistry. What it's basically doing is bringing blood to that area. I don't know why he's doing it. They said it's cupping, but they didn't really say why he used it. But the other train of thought is cupping therapy is a form of pseudoscience. in which a local suction is created on the skin using heated cups. It's alternative medicine practiced primarily in Asia, but also Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Latin America.
Professional athletes do it too.
They do, and I think it can be beneficial. You're bringing more blood to a certain area, so if you're like using certain muscles, maybe it would help. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about it, but you'll see the marks on professional athletes. I think most famously, Michael Phelps had it done. It can bring healing to that area, but I don't know scientifically. Obviously, there's disagreement. So,
And I think the only reason they focus on it so much is because I think the professor says he wants to find out how he drained the Sir Carol of blood.
yeah, which he didn't seem to do, but I guess they're bringing it more to one area, so his face is pale or something. I don't know. Anyway,
But they said these. All right. So anyway,
it's a tiny little inch.
I know.
What?
So then the Baron goes to stab Sir Carol in the jugular with a small set of scissors. Professor and Inspector stop him. So I get he's cupping to bring the blood out, but they said he was drained of all his blood. Where is he going to put all of that blood? It's not all going to fit in that one little glass. Karen.
No, as we've talked about many times. I don't know if he was bringing it up to the surface so when he put the little cut, it would bleed more. I couldn't figure out what the point of it was.
So then Professor takes the Baron out of his trance. Baron sees Sir Carol. The Professor places him under arrest. And right here I wrote, supposedly the heated glass would have created suction and drained the blood. Because that's what they say. Then we see a trunk that says Luna the Batwoman Theater. And they're all Luna's taking off her makeup and they're packing up her bat wings. And Bela says he has an idea for a new act. And in the new act, he will be the vampire.
And the daughter does explain, what's her name? Irina?
Yeah.
Does explain to her fiance. He was out of the loop. He had no idea what was going on, but she told him after the fact. But yeah, there's that little scene at the end, like I said, where they say,
and the
ta-da!
other guy just asks Bella to help him load more shit in the trunk.
Yeah. Quit your yapping
trunk.
and help me load things up.
The end. All right, Karen, what did you think of the Vampire Blood Cranberry Martini?
I think I'd order a cranberry martini. Mine's a little sour because I think I added too much lime juice, but overall it's pretty good.
It's better than I thought it would be once I learned that Aperol is very similar to Campari.
Yes. But there's so little of it in there.
Yeah.
At least when you're me, because I knew I wouldn't like it because it's bitter, so I put a very tiny amount in.
Fortunately, I found a smaller bottle of it, so I don't have a lot left. Well, I have a lot left, but not as much as I would have if it was a big bottle. Like the Campari bottle I have, Karen.
Yes.
Anything we learned today?
A little bit about Bela Lugosi, about Bat Thorn, the punk band, and the fake herb in the movie. Specifically this movie, which is interesting. They don't usually do that. About cupping and about Fortnite. Did I say that right, or is that the movie I'm thinking?
No, that's right. Fortnite.
Okay.
That's the way they said it.
That's how we're going to start talking. The publican said that in a fortnight, there'll be a full moon.
We're like your Reader's Digest, giving you new words.
And useless facts.
All right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, I'd like to thank our listener. There are a lot of podcasts out there. We're really happy you spend time with us. Who do you need to thank, Greg?
Karen, I'm going to thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You know, we really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.